The unimaginable. Oh my god. So, something that's becoming very, very clear for me as I'm diving deeper and deeper into the dynamics between the law of dominance and the law of submission is how every time, like when you have your frame, when you have an active high masculine in your field, every time you start to see, every time things start getting predictable and imaginable, he flips the script on you completely. Which is why when I wrote that post, I said that you have to sacrifice your conscious standards, values, boundaries. His silence is super, super important. And when you doubt the silence, that's when you start surrendering. That's when you start moving energetically. You start thinking about the outcome. You start thinking about what's wrong with you? Why is nothing coming? Why? Should I do this? Could I do that? All the things, which is what surrender is. Instead of just submitting and letting the frame be the frame, and then when the moment comes to step into the frame, let your genius take over and just create a masterpiece. Okay. So I want to talk about turn on and the stillness and the blindness and all the things and what it actually takes to manifest the unimaginable, which is what's happening to a lot of my clients right now. I just had a call with a male client, and Jacqueline, your unimaginable sale, I will come to that. So I had a call with a client, and he's 62, I think, and he just told me that he's having this unimaginable woman who just came into his life. And this has been a problem for him for a long time, to actually attract someone who can hold his energy, who doesn't run away from his high masculine potential, but instead comes towards it and submits to the unimaginable that he's offering. So he just told me that there's this woman who is flying across the states to come visit him, and they've known each other for like 2 weeks. She's coming to his place, completely blind. She didn't even want to know what they're going to be doing and what's going to happen. She was just like, I submit to you. And he was telling me about that woman, and he kept saying how impossible it is to attract someone like that, how unimaginable it is to actually see the shift in the physical. And it's so fucking great. And she's coming tomorrow. And then there's Jacqueline, who last night said no to her only paying client. Held the frame, stayed in the tension without knowing, and this is how you say no. This is how you actually fucking say no. It's when you empty out your entire container, when you say no without having anything to say yes to. When you go completely blind and you stay with the turn on and you say no to everything else. And she said no to a long-term client who was not submitting to the new frame that Jacqueline was presenting. And it was like literally a few hours later that you got a new client. So blind. Yeah. That's where the actual turn on is. It's not in the knowing, it's not in the clarity, it's not in surrendering. It's in going in completely blind and sticking with the turn on and saying no to everything else, even if it empties, and hopefully it will empty out everything in your field. When you say no, it's the most powerful, potent feminine energy. The true high feminine energy. It's the most sharp thing that exists. So yes, it will destroy everything. And it will leave you in a void. And that's where you attract the unimaginable in no time. Literally no time. It was a few hours. And she'd been struggling with getting new clients for a long time. And right after saying no, he provided. That's how the frame works. When you submit to the frame. Not before. He doesn't care about your feelings. He doesn't care about the swampy. He wants you to be art. And the only way to be art is to follow the turn on and the tension and go towards the tension. She got called out of integrity, out of honor, which is what it looks like to the outside. But real honor, real integrity is when you're with in submission to your high masculine. When you're in submission within to yourself. I've been struggling big time to release control, but when I do, money comes immediately, but then I'm almost there and find the perfect client. They have something happen to them and can't pay. Well, you still have the container. When you have a container that happens, there's something big coming in, and the container that your current quality of masculine is holding isn't strong enough, isn't big enough to hold what's coming in. So everything just collapses. Which doesn't happen when you have the frame. How can you be blind? Is it faith? It's not faith. It's not faith. It's the high masculine no. The KNOW. Which also gets presented with the frame. Faith in God. This has nothing to do with God. You are the God. And the high masculine, it's not some random outside force that's out there in the universe. It is literally within you. He tells me to not do anything, dear masculine. Yeah, well, the trick is to not obey the wimpy masculine. You need to clean him out completely. Starve him. Get him out. It's like being in a relationship with a wimpy fucker who cannot provide who doesn't know how to turn you on, who doesn't know how to please you, who doesn't know how to bring you the things that you actually want, you have to say no to him. You have to get him out of your field completely. That's the only way that the high masculine is ever going to come and be aroused and engage with you, when there's no wimpy fucker. I feel urgency towards doing, but I have a voice telling me I don't need to do anything I'm doing to attract clients. Yeah. But that doesn't mean do nothing. It just means that you don't need to do what you've been doing thus far. But there's a different action that you need to take that will clean out the wimpy masculine energy from your field. And this is the paradox of the high feminine stillness. It's not being still physically. It's being still energetically. Being void of content, matter, stakes, all of it. Which is when you actually move very fast in the physical. But it's not about doing nothing in the physical. It's, okay, let's say very rarely is. And especially when the wimpy masculine is still in your field, it's never about doing nothing. It's not about resting, letting go, none of that. It's about taking very precise action that clears out the energy of the wimpy masculine. I actually got something to do, but it makes no sense. It will not make sense. It won't make sense. It'll feel scary. It'll feel uncomfortable because you're blind. It doesn't make sense. It is not supposed to make sense to your feminine. Your feminine is blind. She's the no. If it's a turn on for you, even no matter how scary it is, no matter how uncomfortable it is, then that's what you need to do. But it's not going to make logical sense because you can't see. Your feminine can't see. But your high masculine can. He's the sight beyond sight. And that's why it's high. People get so caught up in how I use the high feminine, high masculine. He's high masculine because he's up here, high. He can see everything. That's why he's the high masculine. It has nothing to do with hierarchy or being higher up than other people. It's just, that's ridiculous. I want to do a live, but I barely have people there, and it makes no sense. But that's why does it matter if there's people in there? That's the matter. You don't do it for the outcome. You don't care about the outcome. You create art for the sake of creating art. And when you get presented with a frame, which looks like in your case that's doing a live, then you submit to the frame. It's never about the outcome. If you think about the outcome, you're surrendering. Yeah, well then do it. High is different than master. Yeah, it is. The high masculine presents you with the frame. Activates your genius. Gives you the arena to play in. the master masculine is the next level. He's the he gives you the master frame, which is when you don't only see, like, you, when you get presented with the master frame, you get everything. You can see everything, not just in your specific field, but you understand energy. You master the core of how energy works through your own frame in a way that applies to everything, that you can apply to everything. There's nothing to Michelle, are you here? Who has actually activated their master frame. And it's like, you're done after that. You have it. You're home. You've arrived. So if I get an idea that doesn't excite or scare me, is that the wimpy fucker? Do I then just ignore it until a better idea comes in? Excite or scare. If it doesn't turn you on, then you say no. And it's not just about ignoring it, it's actually energetically saying no to it. And most times there's an opposing action to take if you get an idea from your wimpy fucker. Energetically, there's an opposing action that you need to take to get him out of your field. So if me having a live is dependent on helping others or answering questions, it means it's the wimpy fucker, or it just means I'm trying to put in content and I should do the live. If you do the live to help others, yeah, it's the wimpy fucker. If you do the live to because it turns you on, because the topic that you're going to be talking about turns you on. If you're going in, and this is important, if you are going in to that live walking at the edge of your consciousness, you're not just talking about the same shit that you've always talked about, but you're actually creating something new. So you're going in blind, you're kind of unsure. You have this feeling that you're probably not versed enough to even be talking about this, but you have this knowing that what you're about to say is true, and you're doing it for yourself, for your own pleasure, regardless of who is gonna watch, if anyone's gonna show up. That's a turn on. You do it for your own pleasure. And if it helps others, then great. But that's not why you're doing it. How do you know what's the imposing action? It depends on what the wimpy fucker is telling you to do. It's very specific to the situation, to you individually, to what he's saying, to how he's saying it. But the right action, the high feminine action, is to always move towards the tension. So if, I don't know, what's a good example? The client that said no to Jacqueline's new frame. her wimpy fucker would have told her to stick with the price that she set earlier and not with the new price to accommodate that client or to hold space for her in some way. The high feminine action is to say no and to do the exact opposite. That's an example. And that's exactly why she got the new client. So if my wimpy fucker tells me I need to do live readings to attract clients, but I actually don't want to, I should do lives about things that excite me instead. Excite is a... it's a word that you need to be careful with. Because the swampy feminine gets excited about a lot of things. A turn on is, it's deeper. A clean turn on is, it's deep, it's dark, it's disruptive. You're creating something completely new instead of doing what's comfortable. And yes, there's an excitement to it, but it's not... excited is the wrong word. But if your wimpy fucker tells you that you need to do live readings, well, first of all, yeah, it's your wimpy fucker, because your high masculine will not tell you to do live readings. Ever. Unless it's, okay, what kind of readings? Unless it's coming from you. And only you. And you're downloading it straight from the high masculine. We were just talking about this with Gregory. He has a client that does... what are they? Card readings. And she was telling him how her high masculine was telling her to do a card reading with 6 decks instead of 1. Your high masculine will never tell you to use something outside of you to download anything. Because he knows that he's inside of you, that your high feminine genius is inside of you, and that you don't need anything on the outside to convey that or to channel that or to get access to that. You just need the frame, and you need to be a void. And that's the only way your actual genius is ever going to show up. So why do you do cheap, unexciting things? At all. You've been going back and forth with getting a session with me for a long time. And you always let your swampy feminine get in the way. So when you're asking what the action looks like, that's it right there. Because of fear and lack of faith in the ability to be provided. Yeah, because you're placing your faith in something outside of you, in a force outside of you, when it's actually in you. And here's the thing, your high masculine is not going to show up if you're in any way placing your power outside of you, because he doesn't need to convince you of his provision or his protection. He doesn't need to prove to you that he's there. He's not in any rush to come in and rescue you and provide for you. He's always there. The high masculine is always there in your field. Is he active? Not until you prove yourself to him. Period. You're gonna like it. On your knees begging for more. Yeah, but not from me. You're on high masculine. You're absolutely gonna be begging him for more. And you're also not. How do we prove to him? You stop surrendering. That's the only way that you can ever prove yourself to him. You empty out your field. You empty out all the content, all the matter, all the stakes, all of it. You become a void. And you stop surrendering. You stop fucking surrendering to things that do not turn you on, that don't excite you, that are not actually what you desire. So basically you stop surrendering to the imaginable, because to the high feminine, the imaginable is always and without exception, it's boring as fuck. She wants to be blind. She wants to be taken to places that she would have never even imagined being taken to. That's what she wants. That's her turn on. To be fucking blind and provided for beyond imagination. Everything else is just boring to her. If you can imagine it, it bores her. I'm tired of placing my faith outside of myself. Yeah, you said that to me 3 months ago. Content and stakes are same as attachment. So the content is what's in... Okay, how did I explain this? When you have... You always have a masculine. A frequency of masculine that's active and providing in your field. When it's the wimpy masculine, he presents you with a container. And you put all of your content into that container. All of the risks, all of the stakes, all of the what matters to you and what doesn't matter to you, and what's personal to you and what isn't personal to you, and all of your people pleasing, and all of the everything that keeps you in the imaginable, that keeps you out of integrity with yourself and within yourself. You place all of that into that container that he provides. So every time you do something for an outcome, every time you do something to please someone else, every time you move away from the tension that's within you, you move away from the turn on that is actually within you to please someone else, to get an outcome, to get something, anything, instead of just creating something, a moment, an experience, because you fucking want to, because it's a piece of art. Even a why is a content. If you have a why for what you do, other than it pleases you to do it, that's content. So you remove all of that. You destroy all of it. I just had this strange thought. Does this translate into cooking as well? As in, you never cook anything that you can... No idea. You never cook anything that doesn't turn you on. It's the turn on. You never do anything that doesn't turn you on, period. But desire is what makes us move. Isn't wanting the unimaginable also a desire? Desire is not what makes you move. Well, in the swampy feminine, it is. But then the swampy feminine also has to hold the desire. The desire becomes content. And then there's all this work energetically that you have to do to upgrade your container to match the desire, to be able to attract the desire and make it matter, to turn it into matter. And then you have to upgrade your container again so that it's just the fucking endless loop of maintenance, upgrading, trying to attract what you desire, holding the desire, which is fucking exhausting. But when you have a high feminine desire, which is, it's a turn on. It is as simple as that. The high feminine has a clean desire for an unimaginable experience, not an outcome, an experience. And when you have a desire for an experience, not the outcome, that's when life becomes a one big turn on. That's when it becomes a game. That's when it becomes art. Because everything you create is an experience, is a masterpiece. It's complete in and of itself. You don't require anything out of it. Because what you do, everything you do, is just complete. You don't do it to fill yourself up. You don't do it to fill anyone else up. You don't do it for any outcome. It's just a complete experience. And that's how it becomes a masterpiece. And then once you're in the frame, the frame is a complete masterpiece also. It's an individual masterpiece. It holds itself. It doesn't need anything. And then what you create in the frame also becomes a masterpiece, but only if when you're in the frame you follow the turn on all the time. So that means if you go into a frame, and I've done this with clients. So hello, Aya, another thing for you to disrupt with with your swampy feminine. I've done this with clients. Gotten into a call with them. 10 minutes in, I stopped feeling the turn on from them. I walk away. You stay in integrity with the turn on over the frame, over. It doesn't matter if you said 2 hours. It doesn't matter if you've said XYZ price. If it stops being a turn on, you walk the fuck away. That's how you stay in integrity with yourself. Not by staying and surrendering, but by submitting. Yeah, I walk away. It's not the only way. No, I don't care. I don't care. And that's the beauty of creating art. When you go into a frame with a client, the only way for a high feminine, high masculine client, so a client that is actually the right person for you, to get anything out of it is if you're in your genius, is if you're staying in your high feminine. Following your turn on is what actually helps people. Not by surrendering, because in the physical it might look like you're helping them by surrendering. It's a temporary fix if you surrender, always. If you hold space for them instead of holding the frame. Might help them for a day, 2 week, maybe months, but it will not stick. Ever. The only way that you can actually help people is by being in integrity within yourself, to your high masculine, to the frame, and to your own turn on. Gratitude. So swampy. The high feminine is so ungrateful. She's like the most ungrateful bitch ever. Gratitude is surrender. It's pure surrender. Energetically, you're saying thank you to the wimpy fucker. You're being grateful for his provision. Instead of following your turn on and saying, no, I don't want this. Why are you bringing this to me? Why are you even here? Get the fuck out. That's how people stay in their swampy feminine. They practice gratitude towards the wimpy fucker. They stay in that relationship that doesn't turn them on with the guy that doesn't know how to fuck them. And they stay. And they force themselves to feel grateful for the efforts that he shows. When the right thing to do would be to kick him out. So once empty, do I wait for the next action from him? Is that the way? It's more nuanced than that. And it's not about being empty. It's actually when you're a void, you're full. You're full of nothing. You don't need anything. You don't need an outcome, because what you're creating, who you're being, is art. It is complete. You don't do anything to fill yourself. You don't do anything to feel fulfilled in any way, because you're already full. So that's the paradox of being a void. And when you're a void and you create something, everything that comes from that something that you've created is overflow. It's not to fill you up. It's not to get an outcome. It's pure overflow. And that's why it comes in unimaginable quantities and qualities and ways. Because you don't care. You don't care about the outcome. Grateful is, gratefulness. A great way to stay in that container with the wimpy fucker. And your high masculine is there, sitting, waiting for you to realize that you've been in bed with the wimpy fucker for all of your life. And probably watching with this light amusement, waiting for you to realize it and throw him out. The high feminine is ungrateful, unapproachable, unattractive energetically. She is repelling. She repels almost everything. She repels the imaginable because she is not afraid to be a void and to say no to almost everything that comes her way. She's not looking to get an outcome. The high feminine surrenders, the swampy feminine surrenders because she is looking to get an outcome. She wants to get something, anything, out of the experience with the wimpy fucker. Because she knows that she's not gonna feel fulfilled by anything that he actually provides. So she has to control things, she has to move, she has to wiggle, she has to switch positions ever so subtly. But she keeps saying yes to being fucked by the wimpy fucker because she just wants the orgasm. With food, I say no all the time. If it's not good enough, I would rather have nothing than anything. With food, it's basically the same. It's what you have a taste for. You only ever eat what turns you on, what you have a taste for. You don't have a hunger for food. You have a taste for it. Yeah, okay. Do I have anything else? No. If you haven't watched the masterclass, go watch it. Pure gold. Pure gold. What else? Also, I have one opening for my 6-week mastering submission. 101. So if you're interested in that and actually learning and going deep into this and living it instead of just intellectually trying to grasp it, then reach out about that. Yeah, it's on this group. I think I made it an announcement, so it should be showing up as the first thing you see.